Hello and welcome to Absolutely Not. My name is Katrina K. Stroll. My pronouns are they, she, he, and you can learn more about me at my website, www.katrinastroll.com. Real quick, I just want to share.
Okay.
Fuck Thanksgiving. Give everybody their land back, and colonization should have never been celebrated or continue to be celebrated. The keywords for this episode, one second. The keywords for this episode are honesty, communication, and messaging. I encourage y'all to look up the definitions of these words and compare them to the definitions you carry with you on a daily basis. If you need help comparing, please let me know. This episode is sponsored by Headspace. Headspace has one mission: to improve the health and happiness of the world through meditation, sleep, stress, and mindfulness. Find out more about Headspace at the link in the show notes. Today's episode is titled The Message and the Medium. And I'm excited to talk about this with our amazing special guest today, Rocio Sanchez, Any Pronouns. They are a multicultural brand strategist and multilingual digital marketing expert who helps queer entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of color take up space in the fashion industry and beyond. He is a Dominican American by birth and European resident for love. She advocates for boundaries in all aspects of life, especially at work. They identify as first-generation American, immigrant, transgender, non-binary, and Latinx. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to get into today's episode, the message and the medium. What does that even mean? Why do we care about the message and the medium?
Right. So this is something that I've been exploring lately in my own kind of messaging, in my own marketing of my own business, and also something that I've just been seeing overall in my career and seeing other people talking about as well, even though they might not be using that vocabulary specifically. So when I say the message, I mean what you want to tell the world or what you just want to say day to day. It's not anything particular. It's not anything world changing, but rather what it is that you want to share with the world. And the medium is the tools through which you disseminate that message, right? And that's essentially what marketing is, right? Marketing is half the message. What do you want to tell people, your audience? And marketing is also half the medium. So what do you use? I see you, that's how I found you. I saw you, Katrina, on LinkedIn, right? That's a tool, that's the medium. We have Instagram, we have social media, so that is each individual platform is a medium, right? And then we have things, if we really want to get more technical with marketing, with digital marketing, we have email, and then we have like beyond digital marketing, we have TV, all these things. Those are just the medium, right? And so, when we discuss the medium, I think of myself as like, I really feel like anybody is capable of being good at harnessing those media, right? So, you can get somebody who's amazing, like, social media paid ads person, or somebody to, write up your content for LinkedIn and all that stuff. And so the medium is like something that I feel like a lot of people, especially business owners or just like individuals, that we get so hung up on, just like feeling like, oh, we have to scroll on Instagram, we have to post 10 times a week, and we get so hung up on it. And that's where I just say, like, we have to make this really distinct line between the medium, which feels like it just controls us, and what it is that we want to say, right? And that's the message, right? And so it feels like, yeah, they work together, medium and the message, what you want to say and how you want to say it. But we're talking here about not letting it control you and saying the message when you're ready, when you're ready to say it however you want to say it. So, I mean, it's related to me in my business, and that's kind of what I want to lead with, because a lot of people that I work with, they're just like terrified of social media, or they have an immense amount of pressure on themselves to post however many times a week or a month, and they burn themselves out when really, especially with social media, it's actually not that deep, right? So, what you want to say is actually a lot deeper, and there's no pressure to share it with the world, right? So that is why that has been so important for me to explore in my career lately.
Sorry, I just love that tidbit. What you want to say is actually much deeper. Before that, you were like, and it's not that deep. You do not need to post several times a day. You don't need to post all over the place. What you have to say is actually much deeper. I am at a point where this message is needed for me. As you implied, I am a content creator. How did you get to this point where you realize it's not that deep? I don't need to spread myself thin trying to get all these mediums out. I just need to concentrate on the message.
Right, that's a really good point. I feel like it was a culmination of a lot of things. I feel like as a marketer, right, I started my career like getting internships in marketing and growing up in New York City, which is a very like, super fast-paced city, and especially with when you want to start your career young, and that's what I did. I got my first internship at like 16 in the industry. And so it was just like always ingrained in me, and I always had this like anxiety too, just from like life. um and in marketing, especially in traditional like marketing environments like the office and stuff, there's always this just ridiculous pressure of like, the world is going to come crashing to an end if you don't submit a report on Tuesday at 2 p.m. you know and that that pressure is just, especially if you build your career around that, if you get into those kind of typical traditional marketing environments, it's just like, I went on like TikTok, right, and I see like people making memes and videos about how marketing is not that deep, the world isn't going to end, it's just marketing, the world continues on, but what do we have to say? And that's where I bridged the gap, where the past couple of years I really made the conscious effort to really focus on helping LGBT owned businesses and POC owned businesses, because that to me is what matters to me, right? Like, I don't want to be known for, oh, I'm good at using LinkedIn, I'm good at email. I want to be known for what I have to say, or I don't necessarily even care to be known. I just want to say it, and for people to actually take it in. And so it took a lot of little moments of like, this kind of triggering a moment in marketing where I got like totally blasted in a marketing environment, and I was like, why did I get totally humiliated in this like over a report, right? And then kind of just like moving on from that, and also just a personal standpoint of like, just I know I'm not the only one of just like that constant dread and anxiety of doom scrolling. And eventually, last week I decided I'm going to delete all my social media from my phone, and I'm going to figure out how to do my business. I'm going to figure it out, because this isn't working for me. So a lot of little moments, and I feel like I'm in a unique position as like a marketer to kind of say like, hey, I know marketing, like I know how to use the media, I know the technical stuff, I know the features, and I know I could tell you all the way. But when I work with my clients, I tell them like, look, if you don't want to post 10 times a week, don't like, don't, we could figure out something else to do. It's just like there's such a narrative across, especially like the coaching kind of business development world online, the hustle culture of just like, you have to do this or it's else you're a failure. It's just like ridiculous. So yeah, it's been like slowly growing and getting to this point where I feel comfortable with that position, right, of the message and medium in my personal life. But now I'm like way more comfortable putting that and positioning that really at the forefront of my business as well.
I love all these honest truths that you're sharing with us, because a lot of us content creators, entrepreneurs need to hear it. There are not a lot of truths being told. Like you said, there are a lot of coaches saying like, "Oh no, you have to post all the time, or you need to be known on this specific medium," which the algorithm will continue to be dishonest in that. Like, no, for real, keep doing it, burn yourself out, do it. What do you have to constantly tell yourself, or what are you constantly telling your clients? I know you said we'll find a different way, but is there anything else you're telling them to make them believe that, hey, we can definitely do it a different way?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I kind of like use myself as an example. Like, for example, on LinkedIn, like I haven't posted anything in like 2 months, but I've been getting consistent leads for, over a year, right? Like, I mean, it could be higher. That's the thing. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say, oh, you're going to get the same amount of leads as if you post nothing versus if you post 7 times a week. It's just, it's managing expectations. And that's also part of marketing as well, right? It's like, if you're not going to do it, you have to just like radically accept. You have to just radically accept the fact that if you don't have, if you don't post 7 times a week, um, then you might not get the leads from that, and that's okay. There are other ways to get leads. Like, there are people who have like 6-digit businesses who are like not on social media at all. You know what I mean? So it's possible. It's just that it's because it's constantly like it's literally our lives on our phones that it feels like it's like it takes all our attention, right? The attention economy. It just feels like that's the only way. So yeah.
And I love that you are sharing that it's absolutely not the only way. That's really refreshing for a lot of us because the only message we get, especially if we're constantly doom scrolling, is this is the only way to be successful. And it's absolutely not. I also want to touch on the message of managing expectations. I had a guest earlier this month that spoke on like this infinite amount of money that people are like, this is the goal, like to become a whatever heir. But if you manage your expectation, like this is what I need to survive, or this is what I need to be able to pay rent, then I don't have to burn myself out. Is that something you talk about to your clients?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, not particularly in like a financial sense, because that's something I need to hear, and that's a hard truth I've been facing lately. Of just like, all right, we're not trying to be a millionaire by 30, but it is what it is. But in the sense of managing expectations, but also like it's also not all or nothing, right? We just talked about me. I decided to nothing, right? I decided to go cold turkey and just delete social media. And like I only log in to like just send a DM, but I log out immediately afterwards, right? So that's something that I'll do, and I'll only go on desktop. For example, I'm less likely to doom scroll like LinkedIn. It's too boring to be on on LinkedIn on desktop. But we have a spectrum here of like going all in, and okay, yeah, I'm gonna hire out a social media manager, a VA, to post 7 times a week, because we also have to think about the financial aspect of that too. If like, if you want to have good quality somebody making content for you, it's gonna run you some money. And a lot of people aren't ready for that truth either, right? Especially entrepreneurs. First couple of years, they kind of want to lowball the social media marketer, which is like, I feel like, side note, should change soon. But there's a middle ground, like maybe not 7 times a week, but once a week or once every other week or once a month, and then just log out. Like this is okay. So that is kind of like managing expectations in that sense of just like making sure that it's okay with you, right? It's not whatever decision you make as a business owner in marketing, it's like it's not just the finances, because you can find the money elsewhere. You just have to be willing to experiment with it, because that's also what marketing is, especially in entrepreneurship, is experimenting. Oh, LinkedIn isn't working, let me try this. Let me just focus on email this quarter. Let me do this. So you have to be willing to do that, and it's really hard to let go of 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 uh of social media, again, because it's like so, you know omnipresent.
I love all these nuggets that we're sharing because we live in such a social media driven world. So even as an entrepreneur, you think you might not have to be up there at some point, like a little bit, you're going to have to be up there. And we talk about this a lot, that boundaries are not ultimatums. They have to be flexible for you. They have to yield to you and your needs and the expectations of you. I love that you also talked about the first 2 to 3 years of entrepreneurship. Baby, you are down bad. You are not doing well. And that's something, a realistic expectation that's not shared often. Is that what kind of messaging, or how do you kind of put that to your clients nicely so they know, like, hey, I'm here for you 1,000%, but this is what we have to do to make it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like that's kind of like a really unique position to be in, because that is also me having to accept and honor that person's boundary as well, because I could tell them, you know, yeah, we could post 0 times a week, and then we could talk about something else, because what I do is like mostly consulting, right? So one-on-one personalized consulting, and then if people want to, they could work with me beyond that, right? And so this is where it comes to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, if you want me to take care of your LinkedIn profile and take care of your content marketing, which I have no problem doing, but when it's my own, it's a different story. But yeah, like that'll run up some money. So I proposed that, and they're like, oh, I'm not ready for that. I'm gonna have to be honest with them and say like, hey, look, You can go on Upwork and find somebody for $15 an hour, but are they going to be a good copywriter? Do they understand your voice? Do they understand really the basics of LinkedIn and how it's essentially a search engine, and how you really want to optimize everything that you post? And like I start to like, spew my like LinkedIn knowledge. And again, this is me knowing LinkedIn without going on it like 5 minutes a week, maybe like every couple of months I'm in there trying to make sure that I, am up to date with the features and stuff. But that's my boundaries with social media. I'm there enough to like take my marketing knowledge and relay it to my clients, and then potentially work with them on a higher basis. But if they're not ready for it, they're not ready for it. This is really actually a personal journey to understand that social media like works in this way, right? A lot of people think that it's very easy. Oh, I'm just going to pay an intern $15 an hour, and they wonder why their Instagram isn't growing. Well, like, I don't know what to tell you. I know what to tell you, but you have to sit down and listen to me, So, and people aren't ready for that. And that's, again, their boundaries that are not really spoken, like, and I have to kind of, work, like kind of just read the room a little bit and be ready to walk away from that as well. That's my own boundaries as well.
Hey, that last nugget, and be ready to walk away from that as well. Of course, that's the keyword of the episode, or one of the keywords is honesty. And that keeps flashing in my head because I can't help if a client is not honest with me. I truly can't. But what I can do is continue to be honest with them. And then once I see, oh, you have not been honest with me from the jump, I have to walk away. When was the last time a client was not honest with you?
I would say recently. I mean, I'm gonna try not to give too many details, but like it's not even like a moral good or bad. Sometimes, I mean, I guess it could be quite black or white, but sometimes it's like, again, like unspoken boundaries. Like maybe they are just like a little bit not very they're kind of wishy-washy. They keep like rescheduling with me. They're not paying their invoices on time. And that to me is something that, and this person like aligns with my ideal client like to the T. And I'm like, but I guess this also isn't part of my client avatar if if you're not paying your invoices on time, if you're constantly last minute rescheduling on me. So that's part of the process.
I love that. I love that you keep making these distinctions that let us know that this is very much on you, baby. Like wherever you are in the process, wherever you are in your journey, wherever you are in entrepreneurship, I can only help you so much. What I wrote down is that amazing distinction you made. This is neither good nor bad. This is just information, baby. We're trying to work together. As soon as I learned that you're unaware of your boundaries, I have information now. Have you ever tried to kind of educate your clients on like, hey, it sounds like you're very wishy-washy on your boundaries, or you don't have boundaries? Do you want to talk about that?
It really depends on like how much time we got, and how, if you're literally last minute scheduling on me, you clearly don't have a lot of time. Or like even if I'm emailing you or messaging you and you're not responding, like I'm not going to, again, like this is an unspoken boundary. It's like I'm going to read the room, right? But there are moments where I do have, like today, well, that's like the distinction is like you've paid for my time, so I'm going to sit with you and I'm going to, as long as you're comfortable, and until you say no, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I could say, well, how do you feel about, like, this is how I usually start my LinkedIn consultations. I go like, how do you feel about LinkedIn? And usually I'm working with queer folks and LGBT folks, and they're like, oh man, I feel like so scared of it. Like it feels so iffy and like it feels so fake. And I feel like I have to pretend to be something I'm not. And I have to, button up and stuff like that. And I go, great, let's work with that. My goal is not to change your mind on LinkedIn and make you feel like it's the best thing in the world. It's literally just a tool, right? It's just a medium. And so that's what I like about my approach, and that's what I feel like a lot of people like about my approach, which is that I put like, it's not personal. And LinkedIn is not personal, even though let's not invalidate the fact that, yes, we're talking about a sensitive thing of like your literal identity and your safety, right? And your livelihood, especially if you are employed, right? Okay, how do you manage, being out or not being out? How do I protect myself? And that's all stuff that I talk about as well when I consult people with LinkedIn and other social media as well. It's like, how do you use notification features? How do you, filter your feed so that it protects you, right? And that all goes back to how comfortable you feel, right? So that's sometimes it's hard for some people to identify that, right? Identify like what they're, and so that's why I also allow space, and I go like, and I also manage the expectation and say, you're not going to figure out your, social media, whatever boundaries overnight. And this is why I'm here to like give you space and grace to discuss it, at least just speak it, because if you speak it, it's less scary and you're speaking it with somebody who, hopefully they trust. So yeah, like this is just, it's a tricky thing, but it's like every client is very, very unique, and I enjoy it because it's also like I see that it helps, it helps when they by the end of it they go, wow, okay, I thought that I had to be this whole different persona on LinkedIn, and I just go like, no, absolutely not, it's just a tool, and once they see it that way, they go, they give a, a sigh of relief. It's amazing.
I love this conversation so much, mostly because there is so much space and grace in this conversation. And I love that you work with people who definitely need that space and grace in all of the spaces we're trying to get our message through. To the people who are going to listen to this and are thinking, you know what, it might be time to work with somebody to get my message out there. I'm not sure what medium I want to start utilizing, but I'm going to start talking to people. And maybe I want to reach out to Rocio. What would be the top 3 tips you would share with them about starting to get their message out there?
Right. So first, I would just pretend that you're just speaking to one person and it's this imaginary person. Maybe it's yourself, but like with a different face and with a different name, but they have your same values and stuff. What would you say to this one person? Right. So this is what we would call our ideal client. Right. And then just take away all of the technicalities, right? So that's number one. So pretend you're speaking to your ideal client and just what comes to mind, just audio record it, right? And number two, just detach any, like, don't let yourself jump the gun and go like, but how am I going to make this into a video? How am I going to, record this in the vertical? And, just take that question out and just pen and paper, just write it down, like just, stream of consciousness. Anything else is just kind of whatever lets, and then if when you are ready to go to the medium, right, choose one medium that actually speaks to you and calls for you, not because it is pressured on you. Maybe it is something that already is working for you in your business, right? 2-3 years in, maybe you're like, okay, LinkedIn's actually where my leads are coming from, or Instagram's where my leads are coming from. And write like, an about section or something like that, and just let it flow, and then allow yourself to reflect on it, right? And so there's a lot more, many steps to go from there. That's again, like this is part of the space and grace. It's like this might take many more years to kind of figure out, but it's like it's the beauty of the process of figuring yourself out and learning about yourself. And that's scary for a lot of people, because a lot of people would love to think that they know themselves inside and out, but like I'm still learning about myself, and that's the process, we're all going through as literal, like just individual people, and also as business owners, because we have to know ourselves as business owners as well. So there's a lot of things to consider.
I love this. This has been an amazingly honest conversation, and I thank you so much for all that you have given. One of the nuggets I want to take away forever is you just can't skip it. Like, you can't skip none of those steps. You have to be super duper honest. And like you said, you're going to have to learn about yourself in a different lighting either way, baby. So you might as well learn about yourself outside of the spotlight. I love this so much. Are there any last minute sprinkles you want to share with the audience before we wrap up?
I am good. But you can find me at marketingbyrocio.com. You could also find me on Instagram. I just privated, but you could absolutely still ask for permission to follow. LinkedIn mostly, Rocio Sanchez, founder of Marketing by Rocio. But this has been great. This is really something that I lead by, boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. And it is so true. Just from your podcast at all, it is everywhere in our lives, and it's not scary. It's actually something quite beautiful. And it's not just our own, it's other people and interacting with other people. It's like a relationship, kind of managing and navigating it. So this has been really great. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you again for showing up and showing the fuck out. I truly appreciate it. To everyone who is listening, keep setting those boundaries and saying absolutely not to anything unaligned. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.